I'm Patrick Molina with RV Inspectech and Tank Rangers in central New Mexico. Remember, I service the Albuquerque metro area, the entire state of New Mexico, southern Colorado, eastern Arizona, and west Texas as needed. Always happy to give a hand, lend a hand, and help buyers make a great decision based on fact and not just the emotion of buying an RV, which can sometimes be very overwhelming and very powerful in the process. The call to action for all of you out there is to do your research, find an inspector that you trust, interview that inspector, and then put them to work. It'll be money well spent and could help you make a superb decision, whether that is to buy that RV or maybe keep on shopping. But whatever you do, don't buy an RV on pure emotion alone. It'll cost you so much more than that inspection would have. What I do to help my clients understand the report is a few things. I always email them with some clearer instructions on how to interpret the words acceptable, fair, and poor. Acceptable does not necessarily mean pristine, brand new, and poor does not necessarily mean, oh my gosh, you should walk away from the deal. So helping them understand that in the report is huge. The other thing I do is I invite them to call me or email me with any questions, concerns, clarifications in the report. And there's no extra charge for that. And I tell them that right off the bat is if we spend another hour going over the report together so that you have a better understanding of what I saw, then great. So adding that extra value is so very important because I want them to walk away with a very favorable impression of this process so that we continue to build trust and loyalty in the industry, not only from buyers and sellers, but maybe someday from the dealership. That would be fantastic. That was going to be a challenge, but discussing things with the client on their terms. If they get the report and they understand it all and they're good with it, fantastic. If they have any questions, I always entertain those very willingly and very quickly. So, and it depends. Sometimes it's email, sometimes it's a phone call, sometimes it's a combination of those things. But as an inspector, I feel very strongly I'm making sure that they're making a great decision for what they need based on the inspection results that came of the inspection. That is a long list as well. But if I could only give them one piece of advice when buying an RV, it would be to do your research on that year, make, and model, especially if it's brand new. And it may be very difficult to find that information. But when you go through any RV purchase process, do your best, and it is so difficult as a buyer, but do your best to take the emotion out of it and look at it like a transaction, a business investment even. Because these RVs are several thousand, if not a few $100,000 when you sign the paperwork. And buying on pure emotion clouds your judgment and doesn't allow you to make a sound investment. And when I say investment, you're not investing in the RV to make money with it necessarily. You're investing money into it to get something much more valuable. And those are journeys, explorations, adventures with your family, with your friends, whatever that reason is. It could even be your new home if you're a traveling nurse or somebody who is rather transient in their jobs. That is a little bit more of an investment, although RVs lose value rather quickly, unfortunately, in some cases, but it's still an investment. And if you look at it that way, even if it is a leisure RV, think about it as, is this RV the best way to spend my money? And am I getting the value for what I'm paying? And that is the value of getting an inspection, is we help take the emotion out of it. Your inspector, as brutal as this sounds, does not care if you buy it or you don't. They don't care if the dealership makes a sale or if they don't make a sale. So that's what we bring to the table, is that emotionless attitude and evaluative service that takes all of that out, and we're telling you what we see when we see it. So my recommendation would be, do your research, Ask other people, if you can find them online, what their experience have been, and maybe look at the year before or 2 years before, if that model has been in the industry for a couple of 3 years, and see what others are saying about it. Are they having problems with their leveling system, or their solar system isn't right, or if it's a motorized unit, that it's difficult to get serviced or whatnot? Figure all of that out and make that part of your decision-making process. Not everything is bad, and the feedback that you see online may not necessarily be bad or concerning. It's just really good to know where you're putting your money so that you're spending more time enjoying the RV than fighting with your RV. I would say the most rewarding part about this profession is when the buyers call back and say, I had no idea what was involved in an inspection. I'm so glad I got one, and I feel so much more comfortable with the decision I made. And sometimes I don't know what that decision is. I don't know if they walked away from it or if they purchased it, but the fact that they walked away with an experience that was valuable, that was value added to their process, and that they made a decision based on fact as opposed to emotion. And that is so extremely rewarding to me. Why I decided to become a certified RV inspector is a long answer, but basically, I love the RV lifestyle. I love the RV community, but most importantly, I wanted to give back to the industry. There are not enough inspectors out here. A lot of folks who say they're inspectors aren't certified inspectors, and I wanted to look somebody in the eye and tell them that the inspection that they got is truly a complete inspection through the eyes of a trained individual. There are so many things in the RV industry that try to convince the buyers that everything is great and you don't have to worry about it and it's under warranty, so it's covered, when in fact, a lot of that aren't complete truths. And I think being an RV inspector and giving folks the true evaluation of their RV, giving them what they need to know to make a decision. And we don't provide buy or don't buy advice. We just, or what my company does, is we test, observe, and report. That's all we do. And by we, I mean me. So, and I think, at the risk of speaking on behalf of all certified inspectors, that's really all we do. We don't provide buy or no buy advice. We just give them the information they need to make a sound decision and determine if the RV that they're looking at is within their budget for fixing anything that may need to be fixed on it, or it's something that they want to do themselves. And we have no way of gauging that. So we just provide them the information that they need. And that's something severely lacking in the industry. So why I became an inspector was to add value to the buying experience, confidence to the buying experience, and giving these folks a great start into what I think is a fabulous lifestyle. Things that are typically very important to buyers are water intrusion, any signs of water intrusion, and that could be interior water damage or water damage from the exterior, typically the roof or any sidewall sealant gaps. That is the number one item. The problem is so many brand new buyers into the RV lifestyle don't understand that. And that's the other issue from the previous question about what is the difference between a PDI and a certified inspector's inspection, is we take the time to educate our buyers on what they should be concerned about when they're looking for an RV. The dealership is only interested in selling the RV that you're interested in buying. So other issues are safety issues. We test every safety system on the RV. The smoke detectors, the COLP detectors. If there's more than one on the rig, sometimes they're separate, sometimes they're combo. We look at the tires, the age of the tires, the inflation of the tires, anything safety related. LP drop leak test. So very, very safety centric, where the dealership does not necessarily do that, or they assume that everything is fine on the rig. A lot of folks think that the inspection is to cover the comfortability of the unit and how nice the furniture is and is the countertop stained. And those are indeed important elements in the inspection, but those are typically cosmetic in nature and don't really impact the usability, safety, or reliability of the rig, where an inspector goes through the entire electrical system, the propane system. We do some evaluation on solar system functionality, typically just evaluating what the solar panel report out panel, if you will tell you inside the coach. But we look at everything. We look under the rig for rust, cracks, missing components, all of it. It is a very, very lengthy list, which is why I typically guide my buyers, my clients, to the NRVIA website so that they can look at our standards of practice. And most of the time, the feedback I get is, I had no idea you all do that. The major difference between a certified inspector performing the inspection and the dealership's PDI are numerous, but let me just cover a couple of the main ideas. First, the PDI at the dealership is typically delegated to a very new technician. They get a one-sheet checklist to go through and evaluate what they can see on the RV. It's very fast. It's not terribly complete. And because the person looking at the RV is more than likely new to the dealership and maybe even new to the industry, they're not sure what they're looking at. With a certified inspector, we go through everything on the rig, everything. We've got an extensive checklist, above or over 900 items we touch on that rig, starting with a hot skin test and the roof, looking for water damage, which is the #1 killer of RVs, aside from auto wrecks. But seriously, from an integrity standpoint, we're looking for sealant, we're looking for roof damage, roof penetration issues, and that's just the beginning. A good size Class C, a Super C, will take an experienced inspector anywhere from 6 to 8 hours to complete, and a PDI is probably done in less than an hour. The difference is the training, the scrutiny that the inspector provides, the detailed report, and the pictures that the inspector provides simply is head and shoulders above anything that a dealership will provide a buyer.